Are you ready for this?
I think I'm ready. I just can't believe we're doing this. Like that we're actually sitting down and going to be telling
It's a
so many things, talking about so many things.
yeah. This is a start to to a lot.
Yeah.
Welcome everyone to episode 1 of the One Line Away podcast. I'm one of the hosts, Tyler Weber. Beside me,
Cassie Weber.
here we are. How you feeling?
I'm feeling mostly excited. I'm super nervous because we really don't know what we're doing, but I feel like we have to start this now or else it'll always be a thought. It'll never be something that actually helps our journey or anyone else's.
Yeah, I think just jumping into it is a huge part. The moment's here. I think we're both ready for it.
Yeah, when we were looking into doing this whole thing, when we got the name down and then we started trying to figure out our why. Why did we want to do this? One of the big emphases, and we'll probably get into this much more later, but something that's very clear and in the description that we wanted to be face forward is that this is for men and women. We wanted to add something into this community, and that being somewhere for them to both go and find comfort in different ways.
You know, one of the big things that I have is we want to help. This sucks.
Yeah.
There's a lot of it that sucks. There's not really much good, but the good that you find is other people that are going through the same suck, right?
Yeah.
And it's a terrible way to put it. It's an unfortunate circumstance that we're in. We haven't come out on the other side. We want to make sure that you're heard. We want to make sure that during those dark times, during those dark moments, we want you to feel heard, whether or not seen, whether or not you're a woman or a man.
Yeah.
Like, right? That's the big thing.
What we had planned for this first episode really was we wanted it to be very clear on why we're here, who this is meant to reach. Along with that, we do have to kind of get into some nitty gritty on content warning, trigger warning. This part's pretty important. If not, I feel like we would be doing a disservice to this community. To be our most authentic self, there's no time better than now for us in our journey, as this is part of our healing journey as well, to speak our truth. And our truth isn't always pretty. Our truth isn't always perceived well or heard well. It can be really negative. There could be things that we talk about, that we will talk about, that will be extremely upsetting to some or extremely triggering, just as it is, because we are talking about something that has affected us in every way possible in our lives. And we are not the same Cassie and Tyler that maybe people have known us in the past. We are completely different forms of beings. There will be some hard things that even we're not sure that we're going to be able to portray in the right way. This journey is so uncontrollable. And that's something that I think feeds into so much of why we're doing this. We want this to be a place that people come where they feel like someone gets it, that they don't have to explain themselves, or they don't have to give themselves or give excuses as to why they're feeling the way that they're feeling. We want to do this in the best way possible, but nothing that we're going to be doing is going to be perfect because our journey hasn't been perfect.
The story that we've gone through, the journey we've been on, has just been something that not everyone goes through, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm sure if you're tuning into this podcast just out of curiosity or out of legit, I need help, then you understand. If you're on that side of it, you understand what we're going through. You understand like why we're giving this trigger warning, right? Why these tissues are here. Because you yourself have probably had, car rides where you're crying, or you're at home and you're crying, or you're in the shower and you're crying. Like, it's all those that where you're like, I get it, right? Maybe that's what we wanted to be out, right? This kind of ties back into our why. Like, we're doing this because we wish we had this while we were going through it.
We really struggled with finding resources that felt fitting to where our hearts were in certain parts of our journey, which have changed. They've changed over the years that we've been walking this walk. For us, the One Line Away podcast is to meet with you where you are, right in your journey.
One last thing that I wanted to throw in there was just, we're not here to tell you how to navigate your journey. We're not here to force you to be like, oh, this is what we did, you have to do this. We want to be an outlet. We want to be here for support. We want to be here to make sure that we know, like, someone knows what you're going through. We're here because we want to help people. And I think both of us, we've both been known that we love people and we want to help people. And I think,
to a fault.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, this podcast, like, yeah, it's not the most positive podcast,
No.
right?
And
It's bringing light to something that doesn't necessarily want to have light on, because no one likes to go through infertility or anything like that. But it's something that we want to make sure that everyone can see that we're going through it too, right?
yeah.
We're still going through it, but we haven't been ourselves for the last couple of years, as Cassie mentioned. And
Few.
it's one of those things where it's like, I'm a very joking person, so yeah, I'm going to probably be joking a little bit on this podcast,
Oh,
just
for
because
sure. Because that's part of your journey
it's
too.
part of, yeah, it's
yeah.
part of who I am. It's part of who
Yep.
she is.
There's a true heart that we have for this. We don't have our happy ending. We don't have this trophy to show off. What's so important about what we're trying to bring into this community is we want to be validating. We want to, if you feel like you're just walking, you're literally waking up, going to bed, you're doing your routine, and you feel so empty and so lost and so broken by what you're going through. There's all of those little bits and pieces of hope, if you will, but when you have to live and breathe it every single day, there's so many emotions to feel. Whenever you find this, wherever you find this, we want you to be able to have this episode as your first intro into what this podcast is about. And then you want you to be able to click wherever you feel like you need in your life. We want that topic or that pressing situation, whatever you're going through within this walk that you're walking, or whenever you find this podcast, we want you to be able to jump around and hopefully help you find that right episode when you're going through something and you need to find comfort or relief or understanding. This was very big for us when we started really doing the landscaping of what we wanted this podcast to be. Something that we went back and forth on is, do we share our story? It didn't feel right. I feel like Tyler was more pressing in that opinion of like, I don't want someone to come into this podcast and feel like, oh my gosh, they've been through so much more than us. So, I don't have a place here. We want anyone to have a place here. We are not going to try to hide our journey. That's not the point. But we didn't want it to be a loud, obnoxious.
This is what we've been through.
Yeah.
This is, can you compete?
Like, we don't want competition here.
There's no need for competition.
No.
There's only need for a community.
Yeah.
And we wanted to make sure that every episode has a meaning. Every episode has a purpose. It doesn't matter if it's the 9th episode or if it's the 2nd episode. Right. We want to make sure that, every episode is there for a reason.
There will be things that will be shared, which again, this is why the trigger warnings are so important. Our journey started off pretty brash, and our journey started in a way that felt like you were already behind in understanding what was going on and what you were walking into. No one asks to be a part of the infertility community. No one asks for that. No one wants that.
Most of the people don't even know it's a thing.
Don't even know it's a thing. Yeah. And there's so much.
Exhibit A.
Yeah. Again, that's why we really wanted to find a way to make our story worth something more. We want this to be just as much of a safe place for us to share and divulge information or feel the things that we need to feel, because sometimes it doesn't feel like the right thing when you're trying to talk to someone about it.
There's one more thing that I want to know from you, and it's, what are you most excited about with this?
I think if I could go with what comes to mind at the very forefront is, I feel like I am most excited to be heard and feel seen more than ever before. I can truly say that we have tried our best to share or not share certain parts of our journey as a protection of ourselves or as a protection of the people in our lives. Both have had large consequences. And because of that, we've had a huge wall in front of us for a pretty long time, I'd say pretty solidly. This is bringing a fresh light or a new, almost beginning of taking the filter off. Out of all the consequences we've paid or have experienced, we've never felt more alone in being so guarded. And so I think I'm most excited to feel heard and feel seen finally. Like, it just feels like there's going to be an unveiling of us. So yeah, what about you?
I think the biggest thing for me is getting that first couple or person, or whether it's a guy or a girl. I'm excited for them to reach out and either say, along the lines of thank you, or I needed this, or along one of those things. And I know you've received multiple messages throughout our whole thing, because some of our story is shared out there. But um, I'm very excited to be able to get that first time that we get it on
Yeah.
whatever platform it is. I'm excited to get that. I think that's the best thank you anyone can give, right?
Yeah, I
When
agree.
you're kind of throwing your heart out there, and
Yeah.
you're putting it out there, and you're doing it to help people, and the
Yeah.
first person, not necessarily saying like it has to be the first person, but I think as we continue to do this forever, how long we do this, who knows if we
Yeah.
just do one season, or if we can continue, which would be awesome, which I'm really happy. But I think
Totally.
both of us are just to the point where we just want to get everything that we have off our chest. If it turns into something awesome, if it turns into, you
Just
know
this, then,
this, then
as long as we've
that's fine
helped
as
one
well.
person.
So yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
As long as we're here and we're helping, whether it's one
Someone out
person
there.
or 50 people, I don't care. I just want to
Yeah.
make sure. I think that'll be huge, and I think that'll mean the most to me. I think
Okay.
that's it. Episode 1 done.
Yes.
Thanks for tuning in to the One Line Away podcast. We appreciate you
Yeah.
guys for
Thank you
listening.
guys. Yeah. We look forward to seeing you guys at the next episode.
Yep.
Stay tuned.